You're watching Vihaba News. This is our series of providing the latest updated news on the agricultural sector, not just in Vietnam but also in the world. Here are the headlines today. The first part concerning the global tea market. The COVID-19 pandemic has had a strong impact on the import-export business of many countries, leading to a change in both supply and demand in the tea market. In addition, climate change is also causing negative impacts on tea yields in many major exporting countries such as India and Vietnam. However, the demand for tea in Turkey tends to increase, breaking its own record in tea consumption amid the pandemic. Besides, Vietnam's tea market share in Australia increases. Vietnam's tea traders are looking for opportunities to boost tea export to the US market during the COVID-19 pandemic. Tea export from India likely to be down 8 to 10% during 2021. Tea export from India are likely to be down by around 8 to 10% during 2021 as compared to the same period last year. The drop in export would be primarily due to high prices of India's CTC tea and the hydro freight rates. Turkey breaks own record in tea consumption amid pandemic. Turkey has broken its own record in tea consumption with an increase from 3.5 to 4 kilograms per person annually amid the coronavirus pandemic, according to a report by the International Tea Committee. Climate change is creating an uncertain future for the global tea industry. The intensifying impacts of climate change pose a serious risk to global agricultural production and directly threaten the livelihoods of millions of farmers around the world, including tea farmers. The second part concerning the Vietnamese tea market. Export price of Vietnamese tea in the third quarter of 2021 increased by 5.5%. Although tea export in the third quarter of 2021 decreased in both volume and value over the same period, the average export price of tea reached $1,744 USD per ton, up 5.5% compared to the third quarter of 2020. Vietnam's tea market share in Australia increases. In the first half of 2021, Australia's imports from Vietnam increased in both value and volume. Opportunities to boost tea export to the US market during the COVID-19 pandemic. Among the tea export markets of Vietnam, the US is very remarkable and potential, despite the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic. The import and export turnover between Vietnam and the US has not stopped increasing. Global tea market. The global tea market is undergoing significant changes in the face of the COVID-19 pandemic and climate change. The share of exported tea tends to decrease in many countries like India, with tea export likely to be down 8 to 10% during 2021. Moreover, climate change is creating an uncertain future for the global tea industry. However, the trend of tea consumption in some countries is increasing, including Turkey, with an increase from 3.5 to 4 kilograms per person annually amid the coronavirus pandemic. The first news, tea export from India likely to be down 8 to 10% during 2021. Tea export from India are likely to be down by around 8 to 10% during 2021 as compared to the same period last year. The drop in export would be primarily due to high prices of India's CTC tea and hydro freight rates. Data available on the website of the Tea Board of India suggests that during the period from January to August 2021, the country's tea export declined by around 12% at 180.84 million kg compared with 134.47 million kg in the same period last year. However, in value terms, exports were up by nearly 4% at 3,243.37 rupees during January to August 2021, as compared with 3,104.04 rupees in the same period last year. The unit price were up by 80% at 272.92 rupees per kg as against 230.84 per kg last year. According to Anshu Kanoram, chairman of India Tea Exporters Association, the tea exports were down despite an increase in production in both CTC and Orthodox tea this year over the same period last year. Exports are likely to be down by 8 to 10% this year, and this is on expected lines. CTC accounts for nearly 60% of the country's total tea export at around 150 million kg. So any impacts on the demand for CTC affects overall export. CTC prices are ruling higher and this is affecting exports. The lower prices of Kenya tea have also been offering stiff competition to India's CTC export in some markets, which are price sensitive. Moreover, there has been a sharp increase in freight rates. This apart, the container shortage is impact the business badly. Turkey breaks own record in tea consumption amid pandemic. Turkey has broken its own record in tea consumption with an increase from 3.5 to 4 kilograms per person annually amid the coronavirus pandemic, according to a report by the International Tea Committee. Consumption at tea houses declined due to the lockdowns and curfews, but the pandemic did not stop tea consumption from exceeding previous levels. The tea market in Turkey is forecast to reach 15.2 billion USD in retail prices, thus increasing at a compound annual growth rate of 10.02% annually for the period 2020 to 2025. Some 275,000 tons of the processed tea produced in the country last year were totally consumed, the report said. Turkey's tea consumption has increased by 3.5 to 4 kg per person per year amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Author drinks some 1,300 cups of tea per year. The tea market has grown significantly over the past few years along with changes consumer behavior. Nowadays, tea drinkers are more interested in high-quality products that give them specific health benefits, which has driven demand for healthy green tea, functional botanic tea, and herbal blends. In addition, the perception of tea has also changed as it is viewed by most younger consumers as the essential and wellness drink. The third news, climate change is creating an uncertain future for the global tea industry. The intensifying impacts of climate change pose a serious risk to global agricultural production and directly threaten the livelihoods of millions of farmers around the world, including tea farmers. According to the study's fair trade findings, dramatic weather patterns spurred by climate change will likely deliver severe blows to agricultural production in key regions around the world, from Latin America to the Asia Pacific. Tea producers in the Caribbean and the Central America, for instance, are expected to face less rainfall and more extreme temperatures, while those in Southeast Asia and in the Oceania will see an increased risk of tropical cyclones. Similar conditions could soon afflict tea production in Asia and Africa as well, with producers across Asia and in Malawi and Tanzania predicted to be most severely impacted. According to a report by the Recent Aid, climate change is affecting tea production in East African countries and is likely to see the areas with optimal and medium tea growing conditions shrink by about 25 to 14% respectively by 2050, especially Kenya, which is the biggest global supplier of black tea. The second part, Vietnamese tea market. Under the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, the situation of Vietnam's tea exports has changed significantly. Although tea export in the third quarter of 2021 decreased both volume and value over the same period, the average export price of tea increased, in which Australia's tea imports from Vietnam increased in both volume and value. Facing difficulties during the COVID-19 pandemic, Vietnam is gradually finding opportunities to export tea to the US market. The first news, export price of Vietnamese tea in the third quarter of 2021 increased by 5.5%. Although the export in the third quarter of 2021 decreased in both volume and value over the same period, the average export price of tea reached 1,744 USD per ton, up 5.5% compared to the third quarter of 2020. According to the General Department of Customs, Vietnam's tea export in the third quarter of 2021 reached 33.5 thousand tons worth 58.43 million USD, down 16.5% in volume and 11.9% in value compared to the third quarter of 2020. The average export price of tea in the third quarter of 2021 reached 1,744 USD per ton, up 5.5% compared to the third quarter of 2020. Accumulated from the beginning of the year to the end of September 2021, tea export reached 91.6 thousand tons, worth 153.3 million USD, down 6.6% in volume and 2.5% in value over the same period in 2020. The average export price of tea in the first 9 months of 2021 reached 1,673.5 USD per ton, up 4.4% over the same period in 2020. Regarding the market, Vietnam mainly exports tea to Asia with a value of 80.6% of total export in the first 9 months of 2021, up 1.1% over the same period in 2020. The proportion of tea export to other regions such as Europe, Africa, and Oceania in the first 9 months of 2021 decreased compared to the same period in 2020. Only Americas increased by 0.3% compared to the same period in 2020. The second news, Vietnam's tea market share in Australia increases. In the first half of 2021, Australia tea imports from Vietnam increased in both value and volume. According to statistics from the International Trade Center, Australia's tea imports in the first 6 months of 2021 reached 7.4 thousand tons worth $60.3 million USD, up 27.2% in terms of volume, increased 39% in value over the same period in 2020. The average price of imported tea in the first 6 months of 2021 reached $8,184.3 USD per ton, up 9.2% over the same period in 2020. In the first half month of 2021, the Australian market imported tea volume from Vietnam reached 6 tons worth 74,000 USD, up 62.1% in volume and 85% in value over the same period in 2020. The average price of imported tea from Vietnam reached 12,308.7 USD per ton, up more than 40% over the same period in 2020. Green tea is Vietnam's main supply product to Australia in the first half of 2021, reaching 5.5 tons worth 67,000 USD, up 137.2% in volume and 157.7% in value over the same period last year. The share of green tea imports from Vietnam increased by 0.4 percentage points in the first half of 2021. The third news, opportunities to boost the export to the US market during the COVID-19 pandemic. Among the tea export markets of Vietnam, the US market is very remarkable in potential. Despite the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic, the import and export turnover between Vietnam and the US has not stopped increasing. According to statistics from the United States International Trade Commission, USD imports in the first 9 months of 2021 reached 85.9 thousand tons worth $375.5 million USD, up 8.2% in volume and an increase of 14% in value over the same period in 2020. The average price of imported tea in the US in the first 9 months of 2021 reached 4,372.2 USD per ton, up 5.3% over the same period in 2020, in which Vietnam is the 7th largest tea supplier to the US in the first 9 months of 2021, reaching 4.1 thousand tons worth $5.7 million USD, up 1.8% in volume and 7.9% in value over the same period in 2020. The average import price of tea from Vietnam reached 1,404.8 USD per ton, up 6.1% over the same period in 2020. The proportion of tea imports from Vietnam decreased 0.3% over the same period in 2020. Black tea is the main import categories of the US in the first 9 months of 2021. Vietnam is the 6th largest black tea supplier to the US. The volume and value of black tea imports from Vietnam both increased. As one of these 5 markets leading in terms of global tea import value, the US is considered a potential market for Vietnamese tea products, in which the consumption rate is about 84% for black tea and 50% for green tea. The United States is a large market with high purchasing power and an uptrend in both price and size. The rich demand and consumption habits of tea create a large space for Vietnamese enterprises to exploit effectively. That is it for Vihaba News here on Vihaba channel. Do stay with us because we will have many upcoming weekly news on the agriculture sector. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to find more news. Thank you for watching Vihaba News. See you soon. Bye.